when I look at this drawing, much like when I gave you elevations in black and white, I gave you similar drawings, and I wanted you to do the black and white drawings on top of them. We have to add some trees and background to these in light pencil, because we will be going over it in ink after. But let's take a look at that. I'm going to want to put a couple trees on the end. I'm going to put just blocking out the tree. I've got one there, and I'm going to put another one. This one I'm going to put over part of the house. And we want to put these in first, lightly in pencil, so we know where not to color. We don't want to color the house through the tree. Let's see if I can remember that when it's time to color. I usually put a wavy line here for my background stripe. I'm going to extend the bottom line out a little bit. I'm going to figure out where I want my borders. Remember, I want the heavy line on the bottom to go the furthest. I want the background stripe, that fence thing, to come in from that. And I want the border to not hit in the middle of the tree, but hit a little bit on the outside edge of the tree. So I'm setting up kind of a pyramid. Stripes heavy lines the longest, background stripe next. Sky frame in from that. And then for the top, you're going to pick a spot. I'm just going to pick right there. Okay, so I've got my border laid out. I've got the trees. I've got the background stripe. I am going to put a little bit of vegetation in front of the house. Let's put just some. Yeah, I'm just going to stick with some. And I might even go crazy and put just a little. Nope, I'm not going to. I was going to put one there, but I decided against it. All right, as we look at this drawing, when we do our drawings, do you remember the technique we did with the site plan, which was big flat washes first? Well, looking at this, what would you think the biggest area we have to color is? It's the sky. So I've got a technique I use for the sky. That might work. All right, we'll see how that goes. What you looking for? Light blues?
I think this one's too dark. I think this one's too dark.
It's too dark? All right. See what you can find. I might have a few in there.
Oh, maybe I'll break into these.
Give me my oh-hoo-hoos back. Yeah, those are the ones I actually want you breaking into. And there should be a pretty light green in there, a light blue in there.
There's a mint blue.
Does it look like the lightest cap of all of them?
It does.
Actually, here, watch this.
Oh, that's smart. Mint blue, yeah.
Mint blue. Cap them tightly. Give them back. These were buy one, get one half off at Michael's.
Oh.
So I bought two, which is why I have, and threw away, well, I didn't throw away. These are out of the 24 colors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I kept 13 and gave the other 11 to my wife in their own case. She was very excited, but she doesn't have any greens, blues, or light grays. All right, well, let's see what we've got for light blues. I'm gonna, here, I already started setting stuff on the computer. I usually have a scrap of paper available to check what color my marker is. Okay, that is 0, 0. Boo. And this is 0, 0, 0. So I think I know which one is probably lighter. I don't really notice a huge difference. I guess the 0, 0, 0 is a little lighter. All right. Way back when, I didn't used to use marker skies because I never came up with one that I even remotely liked. I came up with this technique. It's kind of my chain link fence technique that can kind of work, but it's going to take you 3 or 4 times before you get it. I want you to try it now. You'll try it on your homework. By your final project, hopefully you will figure out how to make it work. Let me show you the steps I take in doing it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up the whole sky with some light diamonds. And by diamonds, I mean this. See that? And I want to put another one below it. Make sure you butt right up to the house. And I want you to fill in where there wasn't any. I know this seems kind of silly. Again, real important to get. Let's see, let's assume there'll be one down here. Here, try and keep this pattern going. There can be a little irregularity in them, but for the most part, I want this to don't color over your trees. Make sure you go right up to the edge. Okay, you kind of see that pattern that I set up? All right, and by the way, if you were to look at my drawing, it does not look as green as it does on the screen. It looks a lot more blue. But that pattern, by the end of the drawing, I don't want you to be able to see that by the time we're done messing with it. But we've set this up as a base. Okay, so that's my first blue pass. Let's look at the next biggest area. I've got either the house. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I also want you to do the windows. One quick coat on the windows with that same blue. Just go ahead and fill the windows right in with blue. And this one, we want to make sure we leave it out where the tree is. Okay, I put the blue down for the windows because I had the blue marker out, same light blues I used on the rest of the sky. Okay, now I'm either going to do the green, the gray roof, or the side of the house, which I'm going to do, let's go with the green. Same as before. How did that one get in there? Same as before. We're going to start with our lightest green. Which in my case, let's see what I got. This is the pea green that I had you get. Let's see, I also tried to get a replacement for it. They didn't have it. So I got willow, which is about the same. Actually, the pea green's a little lighter. I'm going to go with the pea green. So I'm going to do my trees. I'm going to go ahead and fill in all the trees and all the shrubs with a first coat of green. I use the stipple, do a line, do a couple stipples. Throw a couple dots in there just for good measure. Next, I've got to do, and I would set that up there. I'll set that where I know where it is. Next, I'm going to do the roof, which is the next big area. I'm going to start with the lightest gray I have, which I believe is my cool gray 3. Now, let's see how light that is. There's that one. Yeah, and this next one's a 5, I think, so. Yeah, so I'm going to use my cool gray 3. Lightest, again, my lightest gray. I'm going to start by just filling in the roof. Just putting one layer down on it. Any place there's shingles. Okay, I've got my first layer on the house on the roof. Now I want to do the house itself. I'm going to grab a light sand. It's a dull ivory is what mine is, what it's called. And again, it looks a little lighter on, I don't think I have anything lighter. I have something lighter in Ohuhu's, but since I told you to get these, I'm going to make you use it. So let's put a layer of this down. What I found with, now, a couple things, you're going to try and stay off the trim, but it's going to ultimately bleed through the trim. Ideally, I'd like to see color, blue window with a band of white trim around it. The markers are going to bleed a lot, especially at this scale. What I will typically do is when I'm done, I'll wind up going through with GIMP or Photoshop and erasing the color from the trim. It goes pretty quick and it makes the trim, by the time we put the lines in, it'll still help, but it'll probably be okay anyways. But let's see what we got here. Now,
We're using the lightest brown.
lightest brown you've got, yeah. I'm using, I sent that list of whatever, 10 colors, and I'm using that one. If you've got a lighter one, I'd actually recommend using a lighter one. So if you've got a sand or a really buff kind of beigey, do that. What I was going to tell you was when it comes to the building itself, you're going to wind up doing homes that have, you know, someone might not be having a beige house. So what if it's a dark blue or a dark green? I would always suggest you do the wall color of the house much lighter than you think. Even if it's a dark blue, you put a washed out blue on it, and then I'll show you some techniques we'll use to bring that up.
Are we using GIMP tonight, Daniel?
No, not tonight. Okay. All right, so we've got these down. I thought we might use GIMP. We'll see. Let's. What I'm going to do, I've got my first layer of color down. So now I'm going to go through my second layer of color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the sky, which is the most difficult. So with the sky, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some more kind of diamonds, but I'm going to make them a little bit more random. And I'm doing these in the same color as my first one. All right, so let's see what happens here. I like to throw just a few, put them right through the first ones. This is not in the same order as the other ones. I don't really care if there's like a big one and a small one. And I'm making them a little longer and narrower, and I'm putting some extra let's see, I like a little here. Let's put a little there. And a little up here. Maybe a couple little dashes down here. It's a subtle difference. You can start to see where that second layer is, especially in here. It's starting to break up that pattern a little bit. We'll be doing more, but do that first. So you put your first layer of these. In addition to that, I'm gonna wait on the windows. Keep that marker handy. Next big thing, I got these trees. I'm gonna take the same color I used to do the trees at first, and I'm gonna do about 3/4 of them down and to the right. So, like so. You really want to get the bottom, because that's where you're going to want it the darkest. And don't be afraid to throw in a couple of dribs and drabs. Do the whole bottom, and then come up and just do. And again, this is in your the same green you used the first time. We're just putting a second layer down. Put a couple dots on there, so it's not a super distinct line. I'm going to do the same to the bottom of my shrubs. I'm going to fill in at least 3/4 of them. A couple dots there. And here I'm just going on the bottom. Next, I'm going to do a second layer on the house with this light brown, but I'm not doing much. All I'm doing is I'm starting at the bottom and I'm putting a touch of it in. Just at the bottom and bringing it up. Let me show you. Okay, see what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing a and if I want, and by the way, when you look at it now, please note that when it dries, the difference won't be as vivid as what you see. I'm also going to put a little bit in the corners, just a couple dabs. Like so. So I'm trying to go from a darker brown to a lighter brown, dark at the bottom. Now I'm going to put my second layer on the roof. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the gray that I originally used, I'm going to start at the bottom, I'm going to go about halfway up, and I'm going to kind of feather it out. So, let's start at the bottom. Go up to about the halfway mark. See, I'm about at halfway. And then I'm only going to go, and then I'll put a little more in the corners. I can put a couple by the chimney too. So dot that out to break up the line so that there's not a super distinct line around it. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And over here. Oh! Just dawned on me that I forgot the front of the house with the beige. What's that?
I was wondering if you were doing that or if it was
Yeah, no, it's, sorry, it's... Now, we've got some brick in this, and unfortunately, because I was somehow trying to keep your cost of markers down to something manageable, I only had you get one red, which we definitely need for the property line. Now, I would go over the brick on the chimney in the front of the house. The base of the house actually has some brick. I would typically do that in a lighter red that I'm about to use. But I only told you to get the coral or whatever red you have. So if it's good, that is a wicked intense red. All right, we're going to use it. I'm going to put one layer down on the chimney. And one layer on the base of the house. I'm just going to go ahead and put that right through there, whether it's accurate or not. I filled in the whole chimney with red, but if you've got a lighter red than I have, use it. So that's pretty intense. The garage doors I'm going to keep white. Now we're going to start on our third layer, and I'm going to do the windows kind of separately. I'm going to come back to those, but I'm going to do the sky. And what I want to do is I want to move up to my next blue color. And I don't know which one that is. That's a little, is that a little darker? Did I tell you to get a frost brew?
There were 3 blues.
There were 3 blues, so I don't know if I got blue 0. I think it was a frost blue. Same thing. Now we're going to put in some other ones. I want to make them longer and skinnier diamonds. I want to make sure they punch through the house. So I'll usually start at a corner. I'll make sure there's lots of dots around them, and I'll kind of dribble them off a lot. These are kind of bigger. Let's put another one here. I think one's probably over here. I don't want them as regular as the first ones. And this is crying for something. Little irregularities, fine. Let me just tie those two together. And I'll put some dots all over. I like putting something through the chimney.
And another blue or?
Yep, this is your middle. You should have a light blue, a moderate blue, and a dark blue. And I'm just breaking it up. Now, if you can start to see, my chain link fence is still there, but it's starting to disappear. All right, that was my second blue that I used there. I'm not going to do the windows just yet, because I have a technique for that. I'm now going to grab my medium green. In this case, it's moss.
Are we using a different type of blue for this guy?
The layer I just put on?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a medium blue? You should have 3 blues.
Yeah.
Light, medium, and dark. Go with the medium to do what I just did. And we'll be hitting it again. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But, so I did 2 layers with the light blue. I did my next layer with a light, medium blue, so 2 layers light. First layer was distinct diamonds. Second layer was with the light. Here, I can show you better than I can talk you. So, step 1, super light blue, making diamonds in a pattern. Step 2, okay, that was step 1. Step 2, I took that same marker and I just kind of put just some big old blobs, but not in that pattern as much. I made them bigger. It's just to kind of break up the original pattern. So I have 2 layers of light blue, and then the next step was I grabbed, I thought I grabbed, is that the blue that I grabbed? No, B00. Yes. I grabbed my medium blue, which in this case was, no it wasn't. I don't know what you folks have for a medium blue, but I took that medium blue and I made just some big old blobs and kind of ran them across the page, and then maybe put another one in. Okay, so it's just random. And as you start to see, that original diamond pattern's disappearing. So 2 layers with your light blue, 1 layer with your medium blue. We'll get to the dark blue in a minute. For the roof, I'm going to grab my next, oh, let's do the trees. Sorry, I got distracted with the trees. I used my medium green. Now I'm going to go to my darkest green. You should have a third green. I think the color set I told you, this is pine tree green. And you can see it's pretty dark. We're going to do the bottom of the trees and about halfway up them. Kind of focusing on that back edge and the bottom. Put some dots in there, break it up. So you kind of see, there's my first level of green, there's my second level of green, this is my third level of green. Really focus on getting it dark at the bottom. Put a couple layers down there if you want. Same thing with these, I'm just going to put a little All right, roof. By the way, I'm going to finish up the hazelnut. I didn't do this, my second layer of the dull ivory, so I'm going to do that now. Remember, I'm just doing the bottom. I start at the bottom, and then I just kind of bring it up a little. And then I would put a little in the corners. Just a couple little dots. That was the part I forgot. All right, now I'm going to grab my next darkest gray, which in this case is a cool gray 5, and I'm going to put a layer down at the roof. I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm only going to go up about halfway. I'm going to do halfway of what I did with that lighter gray. So what's that? This is a slightly darker one. This is your middle gray. You use your lightest gray at first, and now we're going to our middle gray. In my case, this is a cool gray 5. I started with a 3. Put some dots in. Put a couple dots in there.
Cool gray. 5.
Okay, now we've gotten those colors down. Now I'm going to start getting into some serious blues. When I do that, what I want to have is I want to have my middle blue, and I want to have one of my darker blues. Now I've got a dead one. Yay, Copics. This was stratospheric blue. Yep, that one's history. All right, good to know. All right, so I'll be using my Sky B24. And that should work. And I'm going to do, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put a couple little horizontal lines in. I want to shoot one through my chimney. I want a couple going into the edge of my house. It's always good to shoot these into the building and then a couple going off the edge. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to do maybe put a dot or two here. I don't need a lot of these. Just, yeah, that'll do it. I'm gonna hold right there. So I put these down. Now I'm gonna take my medium blue and I'm gonna go over the top of these. Just wherever I put those lines. Can't really blend it, but we're trying to. All I'm just doing is just going on the top of them. All right, and that's going to be it for the sky. I'm going to leave the sky right there, but now let's go on to the windows. What I want to do with the windows is I want to have both blue markers open. My lightest one and my dark one. I'm going to take the dark one and I'm going to put a couple dots of dark blue at the very top. And then I'm going to quickly grab my light one and try and come down about halfway on the window. Okay, so a couple dark dots of dark. Come halfway down with my light one. Just kind of blend that edge as much as you can. Okay, you could do it the other way around. I could put the light one down first. See if I can get a little dark in there, and it might blend a little. So either way, if you put the light one down first, go halfway down with your light blue and then touch a couple dots in there, it might actually blend in a little better. See, I got that to kind of blend. Oop. Light one first. Get that nice and wet up near the top. Put a couple dots of blue in there.
You said the darkest one and the lightest one?
Yeah, you can, the dark, yeah, try that, should work. The same dark blue that you used in the sky, and then the lightest blue that you used before. Oops, made a mistake there. Oh, I still got it to blend a little. If you kind of scrub it and get that wet, it'll soften that dark blue. We're trying to just make that fade a little bit, so it kind of fades better if you put the light blue down first, make it nice and wet up near the top by tapping it a few times, then quickly add a couple dots of blue. Hit it, go back at it with the light, and it softens it. It's not a lot, it's a subtle thing. Starting over?
Yeah.
It's okay. Got a little carried away with my dark blue there. That's all right.
The blues you had us get are a little different range. Like, they're just darker.
Yeah.
So, are they gonna work for the sky? Oh, can I just show you what I mean? I have this extra color, so this isn't the color that,
That's okay.
but these are the colors. So this is the darkest blue, and then this is the medium blue, and this is the lightest blue. So,
Yeah, the medium, I'd leave that be. You're okay. It's, the problem is you put I would just put a couple little dots in there, and yours is a little heavier than that. So if there were just a couple dots, I think it'd read a little better for you. If you want, and what you could do, by the way, so you got in trouble with your super dark crazy dark blue.
I did the same thing.
All right. So let me see with the windows.
With the clouds, that was the medium blue.
That's the medium blue. Yeah, which one was that? Sky.
It was the sky,
Hmm?
sky.
That's sky.
Mhm.
All right. Well,
And the blue I used is the stratospheric blue.
yeah. Was that my dead one? That's
That
I use sky as my darkest one, and my stratosphere was dead, so I couldn't use it. So maybe if you just use your lightest blue and the medium blue when you do the homework for real, you might be happy with it.
Is this, which one's considered the medium blue? The stratosphere or the sky?
Sky.
Yeah.
The sky. But realize I only did my little stripes there in the medium sky.
Yeah,
That's not the
right.
stratosphere.
Yeah.
Who's got? Can I borrow your stratosphere?
Yeah.
I'd use mine, but it died. I mean, what you can do. I mean, I could have made this work. Punch it right up to that chimney. Just go real sparingly, and that was the, I mean, if I put that in there, that's about the level of how we're using the stratosphere. That's about all I'd put in.
Mhm.
That's, yeah, I'd make the rest of your blob smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So, roof, we gotta go more at the roof. So let's do, I'm gonna bring my last gray out. I'm gonna put a stripe just barely on the bottom, this is my gray 7. And I'm just putting one mainly at the bottom, a little bit in that corner, just a little touch here and there. This is the darkest. This is your gray 7. Okay, so I put that down there. In the trees, what I would do is I'm going to go back at the trees, and I'm going to do a little bit on the bricks too. And that's really all oh, hang on. Just a second. I never did these guys. I would just put a couple dots in here. And that should be plenty. Sorry, you wind up doing this and seeing areas you miss. All right, the trees, what I want to do is I want to take my medium, my moss green, and I want to try and soften the edge between my dark green and my medium green. So I'm basically just kind of working halfway between them with my medium green and going all the way back to kind of get a third layer in there. Now, it doesn't look, it all looks very dark green now. It will dry out a little softer. But remember, I'm going halfway between my first 2 layers. And then really focusing on the bottom. I do want to add a little texture to that red, not much because it's such a vivid red, but I will put a couple little dabs down the bottom and a couple little, so what I'm doing, and this is an important step, I want to do it intense at the bottom and then less intense as you go up. So it's, you can kind of see it. Again, it's pretty dark on the screen. If you're bored, come on up and take a look at what mine looks like. It's a little more subtle. But now we've done all of our color work that I need to do on this. So then the magic comes in, and I've given you, I think I covered my microphone again, hopefully not. I've given you all these light lines. So part of the reason that I printed this out light was because, you know, you definitely need to redo the line work. So let's do that. Let me just put my colors away real quick. I'm going to leave them both white. What you're going to see happen, I hope, is now it seems pretty tired. Okay, let me get my triangle out if I can find it. There it is. All right, now I get to redo the line work. So I'm going to start by doing my horizontal lines with my light Sharpie. When I say light, I mean my fine point, the super fine, ultra fine point, not the fat one. I'm just tracing those lines underneath, and you should see quite a difference. Hang on. I'm going to do I do have a couple angled lines. I usually like to get those out of the way early, where I can see them. And my camera's in the way, so that makes it tricky. Make sure I get some overlap in there. And now I'm just going to put the trim in the trim around the windows. I'll come back in and put in the mullions. I forgot it on there. And there. And which one? You got the thin one?
Yeah, I don't have one with me.
I'm assuming this one has some life left in it. Yes, it does. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna, should be okay. All right, I've done my horizontal lines. I'm gonna do my vertical lines on the building. Looking for a color or
No,
just looking
just
for
looking
line work?
closer, yeah.
Now, you probably, there's gonna be two things that are really gonna change this drawing. This is one of them. All right, but start to look at the right half of the drawing if it stopped wiggling. There. If you look at the right half of the drawing and you can see the line work, how it's already starting to bring out some of the features of the building. The line work makes a huge difference in making it look complete. And I forgot a line right here. So we're going to just keep going. We're going to finish up all the trim. We're going to make circles around the window, lines around the windows and the door. Okay, originally there was a deck patio out here. I've got some lines for it. Just ignore them. They're cut off anyways. So we're not going to do anything with those. I forgot to do the chimney. I'm going to take care of that right now. Okay, I've got to do this round window, and it's very tiny, so I'm just gonna, kind of stippling it because that'll be enough. Okay, I've got all the main line work down of the building. I'm going to want to do my trees. I'm going to want to do my background stripe. Let's do the trees. Oh, and I'll have to do the frame, but so I'm going to go around my trees. gonna go around the shrubs. I'm using that reverse umbrella stroke and just kind of I see a line I missed on the elevation, but we'll take care of that. All right, this tree. I'm going to do the side stripe, the side of my border. I'm going to do the background curly stripe, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I'm going to put a trunk on this tree. I'll put a trunk on this tree. Notice I'm doing the trunk. See the size of my trunk? It's about as big as I'd want to make it. I want to have my background stripe lines a little closer together than that. So that way the trunk is still visible. Okay, I've got the stripe in. I've got the major line work down. If this were an elevation, what were things we'd be considering doing next? If you were doing this black and white. Texture, shadows, profile. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna break out my fat Sharpie just for the, I want to put that base stripe on, and I want you to see the impact of that. Okay, you see the drawing. You already start to notice a difference just by putting that stupid stripe on there. And I'm going to double it up. There, it anchors the drawing. I'm going to do my profile line. I'm going to start, I'm just doing the perimeter of the house for now. Okay, those are all the horizontal perimeter lines. I'm gonna do the vertical perimeter lines. Oh, no, that's not all the horizontal perimeter lines. Got a little line right here. And I'm just gonna put a little jog right there. Got a little down here. Okay, I've done all my profile lines. What would be next? What's the most important part of an elevation drawing? Shadows. So, let's take a look at, I'm going to have shadows under here. I'm doing this with my fat Sharpie. I'm going to put another shadow with a thin Sharpie there, but that's the angled one. I'm going to put a shadow under my eaves. I'm going to put a shadow under the windows. And you'll see it wipes out a lot of that crazy blue that I put in there. And that's okay. There's still a little poking through. That's all I wanted. Shadow under these eaves. Oop, I forgot a line here. I got a couple shadows that are pretty thin, or they're going to be pretty tight. Thank you for working again. There we go. All right, I'm not going to try the fat Sharpie under here because they're just too small, so I'm just going to go ahead and double line it with my thin Sharpie, just a hint of a shadow there. And I'll do the same here. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of a shadow, just stippling it in on that window, and that's enough. Less is more up there. All right, now I'm going to start doing the vertical shadows. I'm going to stick with the thin Sharpie on these doors. If I tried to use the fat Sharpie on that narrow window, there'd be nothing left to it. I mean, it would just be a black smear. So I'll put a couple Sharpie lines here, and a couple Sharpie lines here. Okay, so there's all the shadows I need to put on that door. For the rest of the house, I can probably get by with the fat Sharpie. I've got a shadow on the side of this house. Sticks out a little, so I'm going to go ahead and by the way, this shadow is not 100% accurate, but it gets the point across. Sometimes I'll start at the top and just kind of dot them down. I don't even go all the way down with the fat Sharpie. I got another shadow over here that I forgot. I'll put that in. There's no shadows on the trees or from the trees. All right, now all of a sudden you see it's starting to pop a little bit. What's left? Anybody got any? Oh, I got a shadow on this chimney, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. What, I'm actually going to use my small Sharpie for that. Couple things I do is I want to profile the front of this roof here, but I'm not going to do that with the fat Sharpie. I'm going to double line around this section of the building just to make it stand out a little bit. But now that I've got this done, any thoughts on what I should be considering doing next? Did someone say texture? Yep, that's exactly what we wanted to do. I'm just going to put a double line here. Just to make that stand out a little more. It's a little screwed up, but that's all right. We'll just... Okay. Okay. Texture and window lines. Let's do the window lines first. I'm going to start in the middle and put two quick lines close together. Those are yeah, this was, if you think of a double hung window like a normal window folks have at a house, they typically have two lines close together in the middle. That'd be the up and down sash, and then I'm going to split every other sash with a single line in half. I'm going to put these garage doors, I'm going to put some lines in them. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to cut the half in half. And I'm going to cut the bottom half in half. All right, so I'm doing all my vertical quick ones for the windows and the doors. Now let's put some vertical lines in that trim, the window trim, the garage doors. I'm going to do the half. First I'm going to divide them in half. And I'm also going to bring that up to the window up above. Then I'm going to divide the half in half. If my pen is going to cooperate. Now on those window mullions up top, I might actually just throw a couple more in and split those halves in. These windows, I usually do two, so I'm dividing this into thirds, or roughly thirds. Sorry, I forgot one here. That'll work. Okay, got almost all my window lines in. Okay, texture. I'm going to start with the roof. If you remember my famous roof technique, same thing applies here. cut it in half, cut the half in half. And then I'm going to go through and do that on all the roofs. And I'll split them up in a minute. Then I'm going to do half of the halves, just like I did before. All right, I'm going to start on a little bit of the clapboard. It doesn't take much. I'll just hint a little of it in the corners. Feather it out a little bit. I'll put a little over here. Okay, that's about all I want to do on the clapboard. It's just a little bit to hint at it. I'm going to do some of the bricks now. I'll start with a chimney. This is subtle stuff. Just little hints. I've got a header row going across this. I'm going to show it. A header row is just bricks, instead of being laid horizontally, they're vertically. I'm just hinting at it. Then I'm going to do some more bricks below them. Okay, I'm going to put a few little vertical lines in there. Ooh, I missed a line right here. Let's put some vertical lines in, just little ones to hint at brick. Not a ton of them, just some little ones. Got all the texture I want in there. There's really one thing left to do. When I said, and I don't, these lines need to be pumped up a little. I drew those too far apart. Let's do this. When you're doing your trees, on your plans, what was the last step? Let me put some trunks on these too, by the way. What did I look for in the plans you guys did tonight? The yellow flash. We love the yellow flash. And that's all that's left to do in this, so let's grab a yellow something or other. Just start in the upper corner and kind of just fade it down. I'm going to throw a little on the shrubs too. Makes the trees pop quite a bit more than they were before. I'm going to call that done. Unless anybody can look at it and say, why didn't you do this? Anybody think anything I might have missed? Yeah. All right, I'm going to stop this recording.